Oh no, you got
Trees,
you
you
got to slide on the trees.
Kelly, you need to go right here. Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah, she should. Yes.
But I'm gonna be leaving Parkway. All right, y'all live, just so y'all know why y'all.
We should have gotten this together before.
We good. All right. Well, would you like for me to pause? I mean, to reset it?
No, we're good. We're just getting it together. Great.
All right. I know, just is what it is. It is what it is. There we go. All right, we ready. Listen. It's a day. It's a day. It's a month. It's actually a month.
It is month.
And so we are gathered together here, if you will. We are gathered here today, if you will. If you will, to celebrate. But outside of celebrations, there's girls.
Please let me go ahead on record and say this was such a surprise.
There wasn't be any of those.
So not who I am. So thank you for the opportunity. But to come and talk today about what you want to talk about.
Listen, we doing girl stuff today. Let's start with the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room is today is not my birthday, but they're trying to celebrate me on my birthday, and everybody knows that is a big cancer. No, but okay. Right.
There are 8 of us.
Did we say happy birthday or did we just say
hey?
No, y'all played a whole birthday.
That wasn't a saying,
montage.
but it was a whole.
Okay, a little medley of
music.
Happy birthday, Mom. Happy birthday, Mom.
I appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the elephant in the room. We can start here.
Okay.
There are 8 of us in here. 8 of us in here, and we're not necessarily all friends.
No,
but we are friendly.
absolutely. Look, I don't think it takes much in our community to be friendly, right? I think that
shouldn't.
I don't think that. Look, you got some sense now.
Yeah.
You know, everybody in here got a little sense. So I don't think it takes much to be friendly. One thing is most of us have in common 7 out of the 8, we all go to the same, church. And then 4 out of the 8, we're all in the same sorority. And then, it just it grows from there. But I don't think that it takes much to be.
I think it's not a misunderstanding or not unacceptable. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not accepted. That if you're my best friend, Tracy, you can't have no other best friends. Yeah.
Oh, Joy know that. You can have other friends. You just can't have other best friends.
She got 3.
Yeah,
She got 3.
And I've been friends with them. I've been friends with one of them 21 years, and then the other person saved my life. So I mean, like you,
And I don't care.
and yeah, and how do you? Oh, and don't care. So how do you? They all need me, and I need all of them, and so they equally love me for who I am. They done seen the good and the bad side of me. And so I feel like when people who can see the good and the bad side of you, they can be counted amongst the best of them. Now, listen, it's some people who can't handle the good and the bad side of you. They can only have the good side of you, because if the bad side of you shows up, they can't handle that side, and then they disappear.
I think with friends in general, and we can move on from here. I think with friends in general.
I just have to say this little part about best friends.
Your thoughts?
You go through life, and there are you go through several best friends, right? I don't think that the best friend you had as in elementary is the same best friend that you have in high school, so on and so forth. However, However, I do have a friend that she and I have been the closest of friends since we were months old. Her mother and my mother were best friends. So we are dear friends, but we don't talk often, right? And when we pick up just like right where we left off. But when I say, I'm kind of, it's not me that's very territorial about the title best friend, but we've been around Joy's friends, and they'll say, "Oh, that's Tanika, Joy's best friend," and I'm like, "Well, dang, I didn't even know y'all knew all of that." But it is, she is. Now, they'll introduce it that way, so I don't know necessarily if I'm territorial about the title,
Or if they are.
but I don't know.
We know that Joy's different.
And we all
It's a joy. Tony BFF. The important thing though is you have to show yourself friendly.
Oh,
Absolutely show yourself friendly. And you got to be good with people to take you out in public.
Okay, so Takima, can I just be honest? And I think that everybody that knows me, and probably 6 of the 7 of you know me. I'm not a very friendly person. You for real?
Wow.
But you are. And I'm not a very
friendly person.
I'm not a very friendly person. Wait. I'm not a very friendly person, and I don't make friends easily.
But you are.
But if I count you as a friend,
Oh yeah.
baby,
You're not friendly. You're not nice, but you are kind.
oh, am I?
Girl.
Chrissy, am I kind?
You are very kind.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
If
I
we
would
need-
never
if
thought that you thought of yourself as not friendly.
Girl, I've never been accused of being sweet, but thank you. She's the one that don't know me the most.
At least you know what they do.
Yes.
All right. Women, we're all in here. Well, not all of us.
Nope.
She's talking about nope. You can't even see her. She off camera.
Oh, but you're barking up the tree. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's
The
coming.
youngest
Right.
is what it is. But
There's two.
two. Oh,
Oh yeah, JOI.
and the other one is down next door. This one down next door.
You too late to
She
get
just,
Don't
she just
forget-
know.
Okay.
Just
turned July.
September.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay.
You guys still got 2 years.
A couple. Just a couple.
Okay. But you know what 50 is? She runs right around, I don't know about you guys, but right around that 45 to 50.
Yeah.
It feels real at
Yes,
48.
some stuff starts to
Something
change.
happens at 48.
Yeah.
It feels like,
Look. I just told somebody.
Were you 45?
Yeah, but at 40, I didn't feel any different. But
Yeah.
at 45, 46,
Yeah.
this body just felt different.
Yeah.
I started feeling the pains of the things I did in my 20s when I turned 40. Those pains.
Yeah.
Turning elbow. I had tennis elbow.
Mhm.
I hurt my elbow. I felt that at 40. I woke up one day, I was like, what is this? I called him, my elbow hurt today. So you remember when you hurt your
She hurt her elbow playing tennis in college.
And it came back.
Came
Yeah,
back.
and
Wow.
And how were you when you started feeling it in your
body?
or in your mind?
I think in my body, I probably felt it at 45.
And in my mind, I felt it at 30. Let me tell you why. So when I was a little girl, my mother's friends would say, and you put the mic up to her. Would say, Miss Ingrid. So I asked one of my mother's friends, I said, why do you call me Miss Ingrid? And she said, because you're a little lady. You're a little lady. I was 9 years old.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I probably did because it was just me and my mother. And I just always had to be the proper little lady.
Right.
So I felt older. I had to grow up.
I didn't feel it in my body. You know, being in the military, I feel things very differently. My knees are different, my back is different. You know, but I'm gonna tell you, I woke up right around 47 and looked in the mirror and was like, who old titties are those? Those are mine. They was old people titties. Yeah, I was like, these not mine. No, what happened overnight? Like overnight, they became old lady titties. Yeah, I was feeling like
change is over.
yes.
Brought not holding them up like they used
Right. And I'm not married. I need my young women titties. I can't be,
Now that's different when you saw it. We didn't say when we saw it. Because yeah. So I think at what was I? I was 22 when I had a breast reduction. And so they were perky, they're sitting up, you think
must
they're
be
never
nice.
going down. It
Must be
was
nice.
great.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I need you to bring the mic up to you.
But then 36 happened. I remember 36 and I kept thinking, why are they not sitting up? Why when I lay down, I look like a boy? They fall to the side like pancakes.
I don't know about you all, but
I know.
sleeping naked is dangerous, baby. It's dangerous.
You can get hit in the face.
You will roll over and pinch that side. And you're like, oh God.
Oh yeah, I know all about that.
You know,
So
the little boots matter too.
Amen. Anything more than a okay, and so I need you to bring your mic up when you're talking. Number one. Number two. All right, let's talk about the dreaded perimenopausal. I don't know if dreaded is the word though. I don't know if dreaded. It's the next chapter, right? It's or the bridge to the next chapter.
Or two.
Yeah. I would say this. I crack up my gynecologist every year. I go in. I say, okay, yeah. When she leaving? When she leave? Because I'm done. I'm not having no more kids. When she leaving? Oh well, you're gonna go through a phase where you're gonna have it maybe 4 times a year, then 2 times a year, and then once, and then when you make the 365, I said, wait a minute, that's only a couple of years. I'm done. When's she leaving?
Yeah.
Sad part about that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe about 3 years ago. Maybe 3 years ago. Akeem and I had a conversation about being perimenopausal. She's a medical expert in all of this. I just said menopause. I was like, I really believe that you want menopause. Because she was having some,
You can say it.
menopause?
You can say what I want.
I was just going to say you're having some behavior stuff on.
Are we talking about your cheese slipping or just sliding all the way on?
Her cheese was in its place. However, her cheese has slid mostly off the cracker. And she didn't see that in herself or whatnot. So, just in conversations, I was like, and then, can I talk about this a little bit? It is menopause, but it's also where we are in our life. And I said I was going to talk about this. I read here recently that Gen Xers, and we're all Gen Xers, that Gen Xers are the most unhappy generation because we are in a place where we are caring for our adult children and our aging parents. We're not where we thought we would be financially. And that is because of certain things that are beyond our control, right? Certain things that happen outside of our control. We are not where we would like to be professionally because a lot of us, we've worked 20 years, 25 years in the same industry. We are thinking that the end of the tunnel is near, but it's not. So yes, then on top of that, on top of all those things, we are going through menopause. And the big M word. And it does not stop with just not having a period and hot flashes. No, my mom used to joke about this thing, and my mother went through menopause. I told you guys this the entire 4 years that I was in high school. She went through more, but I distinctly remember that because that's the part of life where I'm doing the most, right? I'm out there popping and locking it. So, we would butt heads a lot. So it's not just hot flashes. It's not just stopping the period. It really is. She used to say to me, many women have gone crazy through menopause.
Think about the people in our lives during that time. But
Uh-huh.
some started 35, 40. So we'll say 40, 45. I
Mhm.
can remember, I can distinctly know going through it with someone who's very close to us. I did not realize she was probably going through it. And I'm starting. Right, so we got two worlds getting ready to collide. One's ahead, and the other one's climbing up. Right, and it's like, what the heck? And I remember just exploded. Right, and I didn't think about it until I got to this point. And the intervention for you was my children calling me saying something wrong with my mama, and I didn't know they called.
Oh wow, you're really telling that.
I am. I didn't know they called her. Why you calling my friend?
So I just
Then
have
I called.
I was about to say I have to tell the story from both points of view because she only has one point of view. So her son calls and y'all, when I told you guys I had a friend whose kid called and he regurgitates for 25 minutes. I mean, he is just going off and I'm just listening and I'm listening. And then at the end of it, he says, Auntie, we need your help. And he wasn't alone. His sister was on the phone too. And he said, we need you. We need your help. And I said, okay, I'm willing to come by and just kind of mediate a conversation between your mama and you. And he said, okay. So I think we had decided to do it like on a Wednesday. He called on a Sunday. She called, this one calls on Monday. And she goes into this rant for like 20 minutes. And I said, and I listened. I did. And then at the end of her rant, I said, what did I say? Do you remember what I said at the end of your rant?
I was already on my way to your house. Your child has called.
I said, this is not the first phone call that I received from this household today. And I was already on my way to your home. I thought that was going to bring some solace. I really did. Baby, she went off. Who called my sister? You don't call my sister on me.
I ain't even available on Wednesday.
I ain't even gonna be there on Wednesday. So when I did come, we had a conversation. You guys, we had an 8-hour conversation. It was long. It was a long, and I remember saying, geez, this is going a long, long time, longer than I had anticipated. But at the end of the conversation,
I thought I was gonna lose my children.
you did.
Yeah, you did. I thought that my and we'll call it an attitude, but my behavior, if you will, my behavior was more or less, this is my house, don't tell me what to do in my house, and you kind of take this ownership of this is my world, and you my child, and kind of stuff our mothers did to us, right?
But this generation is different.
It's different. It go well with the sport.
And
I'm mother.
First of all,
we didn't raise them.
that's it, Tris. That's it.
What did you tell me?
No. And this is exactly what I said to her because she said to me, he's an asshole. She said that about her son. And I said, you raised him but you were angry.
I was.
And I said, you raised him to be a king. And now that he's in this position, you want to ground him. But you raised him to be
So
that.
then I had to change because I didn't want to change. I didn't want to take that out of me.
Absolutely.
I needed him to have that.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm gonna tell you something, and I'm cold. I'm stone cold. Baby, I'm a straight shooter, no chaser with my kids, right? I remember falling on my face, praying to God that He changed who I am so that I could be the mother that one of my children needed me to be.
That's a real prayer.
Absolutely.
She and I only have two, so it's one or the other, right? So she needed something different than what I had to give. And it was hard for me to even understand that because this is who I am. Who gonna check me, boo? Right? No, she checked the heck out of me. And like you said, I was in fear of losing my kid because I couldn't change. Menopause, I was going through menopause.
And so while we're going through our changes, I believe, ladies, while we're going through our changes, I think the biggest thing is we're going to lose our people in these curves.
Oh,
They gonna
absolutely.
fly off.
Absolutely. It's not the straightaways. It's not the straightaways, but we're doing our day-to-day, daily work, day-to-day. That's not it. But in the moments where they are looking for us to be something that we don't even know they want us to be. You don't even know how to be it. I told somebody the other day that we really have to watch how, us being children of the baby boomers. I say, God help us who survived that, but had to parent millennials and Gen Zs. We weren't even built for that because we were built to raise ourselves a lot of times. Govern yourself. Yeah, govern. That's a better word. Govern yourself. And we had to make sure that, hey, we took care of your cousins. You was your responsibility as well. Your siblings were your responsibility. All of this thing, we had community and we had that. And then we didn't like how the community handled us. So then we started rearing our children as individuals. And so now we have this individualistic society who's coming up under Gen Xers who was taught that we take care of everybody and everybody is here for us. And so you have to, and with us being in menopause, it's hard.
Are we going to mention that we are the generation where the crack epidemic happened? And wiped out several of our cousins, our uncles, our dads, and whatnot.
People like uncles down the street.
That's right. And
They
so
did.
now, and there's a lot of PTSD.
Yes.
We don't even want to talk about that. There's a lot of PTSD for us, living through that. And then we are we're at this point in our lives where we're taking care of adult children and those parents that were addicts.
Mhm.
That's my reality.
Yeah. Yes.
And just because he was an addict, that doesn't mean that he's any less important or
True, absolutely.
any less needed to be cared for.
And he's not the same guy he was when he was in his 20s,
No.
30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s. And we have to give him credit for that.
Yeah, but also the past, all of that addiction and what that brought, and all the illnesses, right? And all of these ailments that we have to deal with. So he very well may not be who he was in his 20s, but this person is very different.
Yeah. And for me, it is my mother became a single mother. And so she worked herself pretty much to death. And so I lost my mother in her 60s. And so the grief of not having my mother in moments like today, I had a day today. Today was day, but I had to, normally this would be a call for my mother. This would be a call like, Ma, listen, I need everything that you know about this situation to come to the forefront, but I don't have that. And so grief for me is such a real thing, trying to navigate perimenopausal and dealing with grief.
But how about it's not just, I know that, some of us are suffering with grief, grief over a death of a loss of a loved one. But but how about grief over the loss of a relationship?
Right? So your life was going to be one way and it's something completely different.
That grief.
Yeah, that kind of grief.
I was supposed to be doing this at this time. That is
Exactly.
this time.
Yes.
I'll just go back to the premenopause topic. I'm full menopausal. Like I've had the surgery and everything. But mine came on during working out. I think that brought it on. My body fat got so low. When you lose all of your essential fats, it does go away, and it just didn't come back. So like at 47.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I injured myself and I had the full hysterectomy, but I do hormone replacement therapy. So I feel great.
Well,
So I feel amazing.
that's right. I feel amazing.
You do need a laser package with it, because you will have chin hair. But I feel great.
Yeah, she's not a firecracker.
Yeah. I'm sure her husband will probably have children.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times though, women will say, oh, I had this break when I was 30. I'm not going through. This is so much more, like you said, in a cycle stop. This is so much more because it's a chemical change.
Yeah, because I had a hysterectomy about 17 years ago. And so then I didn't have the hot flashes and whatnot. They kind of went away, and then but they came back with this vengeance. And I remember
Great. So they're gonna come back.
You're giving me some nice
I don't have 0% high fat that you know.
Right.
That's probably part of the issue right there. But I remember when my cousin Patrice, she had to have his hysterectomy. She was like, "Did you keep your cervix?" And I was like, "I didn't even know that was an option." But they were of course trying to do things less invasive. But man, you're right. It's not just about not having a period and not in hot flashes. Oh my God! You know, I was at work one day and I told somebody, "Go to the plate, go to the." I said, "You know, it has the books."
Because I do get brain fog. I forget names sometimes.
Let's see.
Right.
You know who I'm talking to. I don't know if that's equivalent.
For me,
I've done that since they were all
for me, it's driving. Driving is what gets me. When I'm driving and I don't know where I'm at all of a sudden. I'm on my way somewhere and I don't recognize anything. And I'm like driving and I'm like, okay, God. I know at one point I thought I was having early onset Alzheimer's. I was like, I was scared. And I didn't know what was going on. I was scared and I would be driving and nothing would look familiar. And I would have to keep driving until I finally get somewhere that something clicks that, oh, this is where I am. And I was like, what in the world? But nobody was talking about it. So I'm inside my own head thinking something is really wrong with me and I don't have a clue what it is. And so Akima was in the airport in Houston. And she could not figure out where she was at.
I was trying to get I said, that thing and the weird and the scarecrow looks fine, and he went like this, he couldn't know what that was me in the airport. I was literally looking at the sign and I could not figure out which way to go to get to the. I didn't even know where to find I had a train once. But I ended up on the train. Who put the train here? First of all, when I got on that train, because then you slow down because you're anxious, right?
Yep.
Okay, let me get to where I'm going. I got to where I was going. I'm okay, I'm safe. But what the heck just happened? And I had an appointment with my G1E. Now, I don't call her my OB. No, my G1E.
I was about to say, she's not your OB.
No OB.
So you're done. I have, because Cillian needs to have this a little while. So for what really was a bad part of menopause for me was gray hair. Really? I do. And it's unruly. We talked about this before. You know, gray hair is a attention seeker. You know, it's like, right, you know, it's like you see me, don't you know, but hey,
Right, absolutely.
And I was like, why is my, and all your hair is laying down, this is curly right here, that's straight at the end, that right there. I was like, I don't want this anymore. This is crazy. So old women titties and gray hair.
Listen, gravity is.
Oh, I just told Chrissy over there looking like she's 22 And I never had it there, but it's right there, and even I go back and forth all the time. Having like, not having like, you know what happened to Kanye and Mama, right? Having like, having like, yeah.
Well, I got tired of not being able to lose the weight. Like I did several things and was just unable to lose the weight. And then so my weight gain came when I went into depression. And when with the dissolution of a relationship that I thought was going to be yeah. And so as I get here, then when I realized, wait a minute, you got to do something. It just seemed like it was impossible. So I made the sacrificial decision to go ahead and have surgery, and it was the best move of my life. I had to, and I had no health challenges, but I did not want to end up with health challenges. I got diagnosed with diabetes for about 6 months. They said and then after the 6 months, they said I was no longer diabetic. But the doctor told me it was stress induced. And I didn't even know that diabetes was that stress, that you could be stress induced. And so I had to make some conscious decisions to remove some people outside of the scope of their reach of me to be able to reach me.
Well, since you said that,
Go ahead.
some of us, I know half of us are married, but dating while going through.
Oh, girl. I heard somebody said that the dating pool had pee in it. I think it's contaminated. Oh, God.
You know, you can be as cute as you want to be. Cute, you got your regular top, and you sit in that bar with some drink, really cute, and that hot flash come upon you. Let me tell you, you will tell a dude, back up in a minute. Back up. No, I don't want to give you my number. Go breathing on me. I just gotta leave. Right. And I know I really lied to that. Yes. Stop saying your name, Samuel.
Okay. Kel is moderating from wherever she is and says that make sure that everybody has a mic. I mean, get to hear the mic because they can't hear everyone. So
Oh, okay.
Joy was saying something about dating. And I think Joy was about to say something about dating.
No, Joy wasn't.
Well, you got
Joy does not do that.
I myself too. I had another mic, so go. Let's go for it.
I have not found the time to focus on that.
Well, how are you weathering? How do you weather?
Okay. I'll keep it PG. No, I think it was hard, definitely, for my husband, with my desire changing, right? That did change, and that never really came back. My desire. Yeah. So that did change, and it never really came back. So, so it's a more conscious thing I have to do, like on purpose. It's not very natural, very intentional. So
I have heard that from many women. That did not happen to me.
turn her mic off.
That did not happen to me. As a matter of fact, when I had my, no, it did not. And when I think it probably did.
Because some women I
It
hear
did.
that it does.
And after my hysterectomy, I know it did. And Wendell went in to he loves to go in the doctor's office with me. Why do you want to go in the room, sir? So he went in after the for my post-op. And she said, well, I told you that only either one or two things was going to happen. Either she was going to be overjoyed about it or she wasn't going to be bothered or whatever. He was like, oh, no, she's overjoyed. She's way over there. No, I was like the Energizer Bunny. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? Hey, you said he was going to watch it. Yeah, it's time to get going on, partner. But even now, so that was when I was 36 and I'm 53 now. So no, I did not. I haven't experienced that. I have low libido. I haven't.
But I'm on the I have to schedule it. I have to put my mind to it. I have to kind of crank up the engine.
So-
And I'm busy all the time. So I think the ADHD is no matter what I'm gonna do, I have to set my timer to say first husband.
Okay, so then the other part of that is, how do they deal with the fact that you have that going on, and then I deal with the fact that mine is not low periods.
You can't get enough.
Yeah, something need to happen.
When Tony and I had a conversation about perimenopause, and I knew that all the emotional things went together, then in my mind, especially as medical minded as I am, all of my physiological started to come. So I said, I'm going to tell you something. You can't repeat it to me. You can't even talk to me about it, initiate the conversation. And when you see it, you can't say, that's what's going on. And he was like, okay. He just started to have to tell her that she was perimenopause. I didn't know how to say it. But what that means, though? That means was he familiar with that? I had no idea. But I know about him. He'll go learn. He'll go learn. He will go and learn. He'll buy the whole library. Barnes and Noble of it all. He'll be, and then he was trying to diagnose it, and then she called him. And as much as I learned, as much as I shared. And so, is the understanding? I don't know. We still married.
Yeah, same here. I don't know if, I think he understands now because it's been a while, so he's very patient, but I don't know how else he feels or how he deals with that, I'm proof In detail.
Right now.
Oh,
A couple of days ago.
Okay.
Had a husband conversation. I think all of them married, as a matter of fact.
okay.
I think they all are married. So they had a husband conversation with her. And I can always tell when they had a husband conversation. I can always
Wait, what day was this? What day was this? Oh, okay, so Terry was at work. Okay, good.
That we had a conversation, Ingrid's cousin and I had a conversation, and he was saying that, he had some medical stuff that's going on, and he was like, I just don't know. And I was like, what can I do with her? And he looked at me and he was like, what about me? I said, what about you? What does that have to do with her?
Right, because if the roles is reversed, then we're expected to schedule it, get it on our mind, and figure out how to do it. But if the role is on them, I said the other day to my father that if they worried as much about menopause and perimenopause as they worry about ED, then we would already have some answers.
That's it.
But because they If they little boy in trouble, then it's the answer. They got to find answers for their little boy.
Yeah.
But if it's us, then because the first issue I have is that they named it menopause. Like, why is it even men anywhere in
You know, when you talk about, because I'm a very open person about sex and whatnot, and as a former married person, I'm a firm believer that my body does not belong to me. My body, as a former married person, when I was married, my body didn't belong to me. My body belongs to him, and his body belongs to me. So I was, you know, Ingrid and I, we were having very poignant conversations. I was like, you know, so she was like, no, what about all right now? Either you gonna find it here, or you gonna be somewhere else. I said, and he can come in the room and find you enjoying yourself by yourself. And she was like, oh my God. Oh my God, you just die. I was like, okay. Yeah, but when he and I had that conversation, I said, how would you feel if you walked in and you saw her pleasuring herself? And he was like, without me? Yeah, and he was like, oh no,
Ain't nothing wrong with me, man. Nothing.
These are issues, and we don't talk about them enough. You know, our parents, our mothers are from a generation where they did not discuss these things, right? They didn't discuss nothing. Let's go on and be honest. How many of y'all mama talk to you guys about getting your period? I know my dad.
So this was my conversation. We have a set of books in the room. Go start reading them. And if you have any questions, then come to me. And the books went from going through puberty, getting your cycle, and they even talked about a little bit about sex. And that was it. No, just sex. That's it. Just 4 books. I remember it was 4. I remember it was 4 books. Yes. We read the books. And that was it. Yeah. She was tired. She was tired. She was tired. There were no, that was the best way. If you have questions. And then when I got to college, it was, I know you're gonna have desires. Get you some condoms and you'll be okay. Oh, okay. I got something.
Girl, I got the educational part of how it works and when it works and all of that. And I remember one of my other cousins, his auntie was talking, and she was saying what she tells her girls, and she was saying that she would say we need to practice because when your hormones start going, then you're going to feel a certain way. See, that's the conversation me and my mom didn't have. It was, this is what it means, and this is how it comes about, and that's it. And then you're just going to have a period, and now you're a woman, and blah, blah, blah. But nobody talks about, right. But nobody talks about how your hormones go and what you want, and yes, and how to navigate that as a young girl into becoming a young woman. And that is the part that my mother acted like just doesn't happen. That's for them other people. Other people do that kind of stuff. You know?
Yeah. Having a conversation with my dad. Yeah. And he was like, you know, my dad is a very different breed of father. You know, my dad wanted me to have power, sexuality power, you know, sexual power, I should say. He wanted me to know that I was the party. You know, he just didn't want, you know, he didn't want me to, you know, be out there just lost in the sauce. So we would have these conversations. And I remember going, it was the summer before I went to high school. And he was like, I think you need to go on birth control. And I was like, what? I'm not having sex. And he said, yeah, but you're about to go
go to school with boys that are 3 and 4 years older than you are. And I can't use the language he uses. But he was like, they are going to want you, and you're going to want them. And I would rather you be prepared than not be prepared. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was prepared for years before it ever happened. And then when it happened, baby, I was such an expert at the subject. I had studied the subject. I was like, you have to do this, and you do this, and I do this, and then we do this. And then, the girl was like, you sure you've never done this before? And I was like, no, I've never done it, but I've seen it a lot. And this is what we're doing. That's
another subject for another day.
Yeah.
I have conversation not about my cycle, not about birth control, not about pregnancy, not about anything. I got, don't do it. Promise me you're not going to do it. Get married before you do it. It was never said, but do it. What it was. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
My dad laughs at this all the time because he's like, I don't know how your mom got pregnant. She wouldn't let me kiss her. I was like, well, that's not a part of it.
Yeah, no, nothing. So I don't know how my son got here.
I went to school with this boy he was the first teenage father. He was the first teenage father that we knew at school. And his mother was so distraught that he had got this girl pregnant. And his aunt was like, well, he came and he talked to you and told you he thought he wanted to have sex. You told him, go pray. So then he came back a few months later and he said, Mom, I think I'm going to have sex with this girl. Go pray. And so the third time when he decided he didn't want to go pray, he wanted to go. And so if you would have gave him condoms instead of prayer, then you may not have been a grandmother.
You opening up a can of worms.
So I think that we have to address the hyper spiritualism that we put before
Physicality.
that was put before us, because we don't so much do it, but I know that we are so conservative. I know that word is usually preserved for another sector of people, but who is more conservative than a black woman?
We talk. Especially those of us in this room, because we're all church girls, right? And there is not a more conservative group of people than an old black mama in the church, a black mother in the church. There is no more conservative.
Let's just be honest. Black men from 78 to 12 are conservative. They're liberal in what they want to do and experience.
Right.
But when it comes to the women that they care about,
That's it.
important to them, it goes right back to that ultra conservative.
Right.
Oh my God, you're doing that. And
You are so right. Kendall and I were having this conversation about what he wants in a wife. And he was like, yeah, my wife can't have more. She can only have X amount of sexual partners. Now, Kimberly, yes, and Kimberly put his, some everywhere. And I was like, I said, Kendall, you're such a hypocrite. And he was like, Mother Society says. I was like, Kendall, I'm not talking about society. I said, and this is the reason why we lie. This is the reason why women can't be honest. I said, first of all, don't go asking a girl her roster.
Right.
That's none of your concern. I said, she shouldn't ask you your roster.
Right.
I said, and you can't take it. So do know. And I said, so
whether it's been 1 or 100,
you cannot.
Because why you almost 30 and you only been with one person? Was he that good?
Part,
Did he do this much or whatever? So now I'm chasing the ghost. And if you had 100, then what kind of woman are you if you had 100?
The conversation ended. I did not behave well. On behalf of every woman in the United States. Oh my God. I was like, I did. I was like, dude, who are you? Who do you think you are to count the notches on her belt? I remember saying to my cousin one time, I was like, girl, who's counting notches on the belt? Who's doing that?
We are. We are.
Mhm.
We are. And it's important to us because of people like Kendall.
But who raised him? Who raised him?
That's what I was going to say.
All the
We
people.
raised them, but we didn't raise them with that. That is something they picked up in the work.
Right.
So other men, I believe, have passed that on to them because certainly I have never discussed with my son what he should think about a woman and how many partners she's had. We've never even had a conversation like that.
It's just because they can't take it.
What you say?
They cannot take it.
Judgment. That,
Yes.
yeah, the judgment is just ridiculous.
You know, we saw that with Kamala Harris, right? And I was like, why are they judging her on her dating habits and the men that she's been with? What difference does that make? And who are you to say you have yet to talk about her policies? You've yet to talk about her degrees, her background. All you're talking about is who she's dated and how she rose to the top or whatever. And I remember having this conversation with this guy. And he was like, she slept her way to the top. And I said, so she slept with like 70 million people? Because that's how many people voted for her in California. Right, yeah, right. I think that we have never, you said, Maria, who raised him to be that way? I'm a very liberal thinker when it comes to sex and sexuality. So, and I share that with my children because I don't want them out here in this world ignorant.
Right. And feeling condemned about
Oh
everything.
my God, you said the big C word. Yes, and feeling condemned, ashamed, and all that stuff. No, it's life. We are not, we have to live in this world. And sometimes we're of this world. And I don't, of course, I can go to the Bible and preach and I can show you scripture and we can talk about all that stuff. But at the end of the day, when it's you and another person in the room, and everybody know what Marvin Gaye do to people, or Robin Thicke, or Robin Isley, or Robin or Sade. Everybody know. Big Luther. Little Luther. Yeah, everybody knows. But I remember Kendall saying to me one time, Mother, don't listen to emotional music. I was like, who are you telling, buddy? That's how you got here, emotional music. Yeah. So I think that it's important that we have these conversations. One, because our mothers didn't. And it's important for us to have these conversations with our girlfriends, with our sisters, with our best friends, because we're not an island. And it's not fair to go through this thing alone.
That's right.
And for you to be in your mind thinking, I'm doing this all by myself. Nobody else is feeling this way. Because no one else is feeling like they're not sexy. And Chrissy, you sexy as hell, So hell, if you walk around not feeling sexy, there's no hope. There's no hope for the rest of us, baby.
Do you have a curfew? Go home, Christy.
You sexy as heck. So if you're feeling like you're not, and for women, sex is so much more than the physical action, right? I don't know about you guys, but if I smell anything, it's over. It's over. And I know y'all guys don't do it through the text. It's over. It's over. It's done. If I anything, if I see something that he got a mole on his chest where his nipples supposed to be on, it's done. It's over. If the doggone dryer go off, I'm like, I heard it now. I gotta go dry my It's gonna be crispy. I can't do it.
All in my head. What's going on here?
Men have an innate ability to compartmentalize things. They like right here. It's it's the ass and it's opportunity. We're doing it. Women, we are waffles. We are spaghetti.
All that stuff is running right together. Did you put your clothes in the dryer? Oh my God, did I tell that girl go to the cleaners? Oh, I have to send that email. Is that the baby crying? And then just all of that is running at the same time. And you looking at me and you telling me, baby, why you not saying nothing? What? You're not feeling it? You know, I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm feeling it.
Or you finally getting some rest. You finally shut it all down. And you turn your mind off and you just get there. Then we have a whole nother conversation. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? I'm asleep. I'm tired and I'm sleep. I already took my shower. Stop.
No, stop. You laughing, but my mama used to say it all the time. She said my daddy would wait good until she took the shower. Until it's good and fresh.
In the morning, I had to take another shower. Messing with you.
She said he wait good till it was good and fresh. And I'm like, oh yes, I'm so fresh. She's like, yeah, that was
That's what he wanted.
That's it.
yes.
That's it. That's it.
I think it's just important for us to talk as women, as married women, divorced women, single women. I think it's important for us to talk about how we're dealing with these adult children.
Mm.
Because I do have something before we wrap up that I want to discuss. And it's actually about us as Black women and the narrative in America. So just one particular thing, because it's been on my heart and on my mind. The mayor in Philadelphia. So in Philadelphia, for just a real short backstory, the sanitation workers have gone on strike, and Philadelphia is trash everywhere. They under trash. It's only been since the first, but honey, they is under trash, and so they but the issue is that the union would not bring the workers what the mayor put on the table. So the union says the narrative that has went out is that she, as a Black woman, a Black female mayor of Philadelphia, has given herself a 9% raise and only offered them a 3%, when she has not given herself a raise at all and is not given the power to give herself a raise.
So they lie.
Yeah, absolutely. But she's a Black woman. The person that was in there before was a white male. The person before him was an older white male. The person before him was an older white male. And so now we are facing this situation in this country.
What's the narrative
The narrative is that she is taking money and is not taking care of the city of Philadelphia, that she's lining her own pockets, even though she made the same money coming in on December the 31st, what the former mayor was making, she made that money on January the 1st. She did not take money. And the narrative is that for us as Black women in America, moving forward, trying to find our space, they're always finding a reason to denigrate us or to remove us. And so now it's all over TikTok. And so she had to have a press conference, and she said, I cannot change that you all spread disinformation that you all hear. I cannot change it, but this is what's going on. And the fact that they never brought you all what I've offered on the table.
Wow.
See, you if you don't even bring it, but who's the head of the union?
Right.
Who are these men that are over the union?
Yeah.
So the narrative is that no matter how educated
Uh-huh.
no matter how I have to prove myself, whichever way, that you don't believe what I say.
Mhm.
Well, I did kind of touch on that when I mentioned Kamala, because I was
Yeah,
like,
and that's what brought it back to me.
they'll go, they'll start to talk about the things that really have nothing to do with the issue,
Mhm.
or they'll start to talk about your attributes, or your sexual history, instead of speaking about who you are as a professional and what you bring to the table. I don't, I think that, we talk about this so much in the United States. The Black American woman is the most disrespected woman.
Absolutely.
And she is the giver of all life.
Yes. Come on, all. Say it again.
All other life is mutation. She's the giver of all life.
She
So-
is the least protected.
She's the most attacked. Let's talk about her highlights, right? She's the most educated.
Yes.
She has more degrees than any other subcategory. She more certifications, right? But wait, she's owner of land and home. More than any other. More than any other. You know, she is probably the sub-pop that is the most successful. So is that something to be hated upon? You know, I hate to tell you guys, but shoot, hate is gonna hate. And I can't wrap my mind, I can't be in a space where I feel like I'm hated on all the time. I can't live there.
Also, I think, right. I also think that we, as a people and female Black women, we are not taught to be our own cheerleader or to promote ourselves and to speak highly. In fact, when I see it in a man, it takes me aback. I'm just like, he's getting on my nerves, you know. But I think because of that, we go automatically into every position where we're going to work hard. We're going to show them how smart I am and how well I can do this job. I'm going to do my best, and we take that on and we move forward. But we forget to highlight that. We forget to be like, look what I did, you know, or see what's going on, you know, and I think that she may be that may be part of her victimization too, is that she needs a PR team that's putting the information. And I think that was part of the issue with Kamala Harris as well. I don't think that the Democrats did enough to speak about her accomplishments and what she brought to the table and to counter all that noise, because we already know a lie spreads faster than the truth all the time. Yes, that's it. So I hate that she's going through that, but it sounds like she needs a whole marketing media. I think so.
You ready?
I'm it.
Yes, you need your theme music.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, but you know, and really, I guess I'm double-minded now, because when I say that, when a Black woman enters like that, then she gets a whole different problem.
Absolutely.
You know, she gets a whole different problem. Who she thinks she is. Mhm. See? Yeah. Like you should be step and fetch. Like you should bow your head.
What's you say to your
I can't even imagine that. I cannot imagine someone.
No, it was like on the phone. This was during COVID, right?
Right.
Freshman year biology class, she said, "Oh, you one of those guys. I'm gonna have to take you down." He called me and was like, "She said that, Mom."
That's
God raised
awful.
you to be a king. You know what?
You know he walks like this.
Yes, he does.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell y'all something. The confidence, the drip.
Exudes.
Look, when I walk,
Mhm.
there is nothing wrong with being. I'm not a thermometer.
No.
I
And
am
the
a
thermostat.
Mhm.
There's
control
nothing
the
wrong
temperature.
when I walk into a room. It does change,
Mhm.
and it's okay. It should change. I remember having this conversation with a former principal. She said to me, we were sitting down, and she said, she was telling me all these things that people were saying about me. You know, she was like, people say you're sassy, people say you're this, and people say you're just too much. You know? And I said, well, they can say all those things because I am sassy and I am a bit much and I am this. I said, but however, what I am, I changed the atmosphere. So let's all remain professional. then atmospheres won't change.
Tables won't be turned.
No, no.
Don't get rearranged.
Right, we can all be professional. We can all, and I think when we remain there, see, it's not until you start saying things like that to me, when you start saying you're gonna take me down a notch or something. Okay, no. When a black woman walks into a room, she does exude confidence. She has the hips to do that. She has the eyes and the lips to do that. She can do all those things. It's when she thinks. See that right there. She thinks. And what's wrong with me thinking that way?
Right,
And
Right.
why does it matter to you that I think
right,
that way?
right.
I said, I say don't think more highly of yourself than you ought, but it don't tell you how high that is.
And I was created in his image.
Now, baby, he thought me up, honey.
I think this was great, Akina. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for having the conversation. My good old birthday brought about this conversation. That's nice. So nice.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We appreciate you. Keena, take it away.
You guys are